Back again with the newest character addition to the long-awaited Project L, hit up by Riot Games, which is now called 20KO XL, 20XKO, 26, 2XKO, 2XKO. I still like Project L better. They just dropped a new character, Illaoi. It looks really fun. I can't wait to take a look at her trailer, critique her, give you some of my feedback. Project L is looking to become an awesome fighting game. A lot of great ex-Blizzard animators are working at Riot currently on this game right now, incorporating a lot of traditional Maya animation into the project too. I can't wait to take a look, give you my feedback, and see how this character plays. Really break down Illaoi from Project L.
Life is motion, not peace.
She has a very big ball. Ooh, mama. Nice background character cut there. Damn. Okay.
To the depths.
Well, that is cool looking. Illaoi. There's a lot of stuff to digest in there. Illaoi looks like a bruiser, kind of like a brawler. Seems that everything that she does comes through with these tentacle parts right here. I'm almost curious if I'm hitting the character with the ball, my fists, my legs, or these little tentacle bastards back here too. First thing I gotta say is I really am digging these backgrounds, like especially these background animations too. The characters, we got Sharkhead over here, we got those little mischievous guys from Arcane that I've seen before too. Gameplay animators are also the background animators too. Always a classy, important step into making these games feel alive. Props to you guys for animating the background characters. They look great. So this must be your entrance that she comes in with too. How this lantern ball, whatever she's using, is a nice big round shape too. I would kind of understand it better if it was a little bit more dynamic, like if the face dropped in on kind of like a 3/4 pose, something like that, and had the character up on top of it a little bit more instead of just straight flat in front. Kind of takes away from the appeal of the pose that you can get with this character, because immediately after we get introduced by the tentacles, which are like these nice little neon effects that are coming, and whether they're smoke or whether they're organic or whether they're spirits that are coming out to it, it's almost like comparing the parts of what needs to be displayed more. Is it the character or is it the weapon that they're using? Sometimes the weapon can take over. Sometimes the weapon has the identity with the character. Hence, Scorpion Spear. I like the reveal. Has a boom camera. Squeezes out a little bit. I really like the whole passing one hand to the other. This kind of stuff in animation takes time, a lot of coordination in order to get right and look seamlessly when you're parenting one object to one hand and transferring it to the other hand. It's really hard things to get it quite right. Illaoi has abnormally large hands, but I do like how there's a lot of interaction between both hands for this object. The only thing that's really kind of distracting me too is these tentacles. They just kind of spin around her. Notice that then one's going through her arm right there. Nice little cheat effect that they're accomplishing through here. Nice big pose, like good flail in the hand right there too. I really like how this character has a lot of features on her costume. Notice the big rope that's around her waist and the big hair. Simplistic shapes, these curls that don't really flow in the wind, but pretty much just have an animation loop or track in there that feels good. So now cutting into the gameplay animation, this is really interesting too. Like, I noticed that the run, some of it felt a little poppy blocky through here too. And obviously this is probably pretty much first stages of animation, probably still in polishing stages right now, but we're going somewhere with the animation, and then the animation pops and pops through here too. Too much motion blur or a lot of effects that stick out, such as in Street Fighter 6, kind of hide stuff like this too. One things I will give props is they don't use too many effects that distract your eye, but just enough to you could read these poses much more clearly. So tip of the hat to you guys for that. It's like a rolling medium attack through here. Really nice clear poses, especially this one too. I love how twisted her body is. Love how much they're really pushing some of these poses, so much to where they're breaking the core in order to read that anticipation, which really feels good. Some fighting games tend to avoid stuff like that in order to be afraid to breaking the rig and not pushing it. Has more pushing and twisting into it, which I really enjoy. And then we get to the part where most of these attacks are happening, and then we have the giant tentacle attacks here too. Love the anticipation pose and the careful detail into wrapping the arm around the head, even though we do have to once in a while do tricks and magic in order to get these poses to read clearly, but also to clear the features that the character has, such as hair or clothes or objects, in order to get a little bit more readability on these poses. Really nice. I love how instead of covering the head, they at least got part of the eyes in the direction of where she's looking in order to keep that face reading, as well as the pose itself too. Where most characters tend to like hide faces or move their arms and their legs in order to get a cool anticipation pose, but when you lose the facial feature in there, it just kind of disconnects the character from what's about to come next. Now we got the giant tentacles, and the tentacles are really helpful too because they use it as a smear frame, which also needs to be posed and tracked with its line of action. Using that line of action in order to really register how the character is moving and where the attack is going. Like some of the arcs are followed by effects in itself too. You have maybe like one or two tentacles coming out, followed by effects on top of that just double edge that effect too, which don't really think is quite as necessary, but it's not really a handicap. But I think one of the things that could help with it is just to either pick or choose two lines of action that are very clear on where the character is moving from A to B. Stuff like this, I can only imagine what the rig is capable of and how flexible it is, but I know from experience that all these poses need to be posed correctly in order for it to get a better read. Sometimes you're getting a little straying away from the clarity of where these poses are supposed to be going. This, for example, this is a nice clean swipe, and I love how they're leading with the lantern, but also overlapping the arm and taking really good care to clear that head and have like nice simple shapes as the arm is coming through. But yeah, I just noticed that some of these things, especially around here, from this shape, which you read as a nice big circular motion, you would think as it comes back down here, the next pose registers as more slight flat edge. Contact pose is feeling very great, but the top pose doesn't really feel like a circle too much, more of a oval shape too, which kind of really threw me off. So it's like double tentacle, double effects on top of it that really seem to be a little bit more tedious, that are working for this character as well too. So really cool. It's nice to see that they're incorporating a few more attacks, utilizing some kind of smear frame in order to emphasize where that kick is coming from. But notice when they're doing these attacks too, they're taking careful consideration into hiring this giant lamp behind the hair. And I think that's a really nice design and decision choice too, to get this pose a little bit more clear about what's happening. Even on this small jab too, she's specifically holding this lantern behind her hair, behind her chest, in order to make these light attacks much more readable. Props on to the animators for doing that. Even though this lantern is so effing huge, you have to really take care deciding when you want to show this and when you don't want to show this in order for a heavy attack to read versus a light attack to read too. And they also incorporate a still frame on the hit contact. Difference between this one versus Street Fighter and stuff is that they hold it a lot less. And so again, when it comes to the run, 1, 2, 3 here, and then oops, that nice pop. It looks like the cycle is broken. Probably still in early stages too. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're still polishing this until release. Funny to see these awkward blends and pops during this animation. Oh, there's a nice uppercut right there. I didn't even notice that one. If I'm reading this correctly too, it's really crazy how they're getting this giant wop of hair to be registering in between this breakdown attack too. The whole fact is that they got to keep this hair in silhouette the entire time, and so that huge rotation from that head between the back and the front. But not only that, but instead of just having the head or the hair follow that, every frame needs to be carefully crafted in order to kind of get that silhouette. And I don't know what the hell is happening to her hair right here. Over 1 or 2 frames, that's where the switch has to happen. It needs to be morphed. And I love how even on a pose that they hit, they utilize this hair as nice secondary animation to make it feel alive. I love stuff like that in animation. Ooh, mama. Still here too. I feel like it's hard to really get like a nice line of action when some of your posing is stuck in one spot the whole time. Some of these are much more prettier. This tentacle does a good job of making a nice clear pose. This one still has a bunch of hard edges. That's in 3D space. Like this weight exchange that she's having feels very, very good. And then I didn't even realize this until I slowed it down too, but the lantern itself is like buried deep behind her head, but it happens so quick we don't really even notice it or feel it. And then here's a quick cut for the background characters, which I think is hilarious. Shout out to the animators, the gameplay animators who also do the background animations too. Arc shot, back to fight line, nice good stretched pose. Love the arc of the body right through here. And then she goes from here to here, so she smears on top of smear frames as well. They're trying to match these smears exactly with the tentacles in order to keep that effect going. She's transferring the weight to this step, a clear change between this arc through here, shifting her weight, turning in another 180, and pushing all of this huge line that covers the entire screen in this huge arc. And in the chorus, to save time, the victim stays in his downward pose throughout the whole transfer, so they don't need to animate that. Clever. So here's the tag dynamic where we tag in Illaoi. She comes in just like one pose through here. For special poses right here, like I love, and again the transfer between one arm to the other and the switching of the constraint of each hand is something I really like about this character. But the whole letting go and transferring of the hand is really well done. It needs to be planned properly in order to make it look seamless. And that's what I really love about this character, is the switching between each hand. Dropping, letting go, switching to hand, pulling it back up again. Whatever happens right here. Okay, looks kind of like a grab maybe. This move doesn't register. She kind of just disappears in the mix of this. Oh, she's down. She's crouching. I didn't even know that. To the depths. Here's where a super attack comes in, and of course the camera work's gonna do its thing. It's a pretty radical shot. Her landing right here. A nice dynamic posing through here too. Really pushed to the extreme, which I really like. It's foreshortened in the right way too, and then she becomes like twice as big now. Get a nice close up. Camera tracks as she swings around too. And this part right here, okay, she spins. I thought it was an arc shot. It's half an arc shot right here as we come into it, like a nice tilt up shot. There's a small bit of focal change in the background, just a small one. And then we have a boom shot. Camera tracks from this profile shot. It speeds up right before the attack, which is usually common in most camera moves for high impact. As we hit, big camera shake. Camera tracks out, following the, I guess, the tentacles, which I really love these pool effects too. I like how we see this trail. It's like, I would like to see a little bit more of this. One big critique I think I would like to see is more of the victim. Like, I didn't even know this was the victim transformed into this blue goop or whatever like that until we get around here. You start to see a little bit of that silhouette. Maybe if they just had a little bit more time to kind of like show the character off in more of, this is the character, less tentacles, but if they were more reaching around him and coming through him and giving more time to actually see it engulf, or maybe even start this shot where the tentacles were a little bit lower and coming to engulf the victim, I think that would be a lot more clear and a better storytelling moment in order to figure out what the hell is going on through here. But this is really great. The camera cuts underground. They use these nice little water effects to show it's submerged, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this giant whale kaiju shows up, which is a really spectacular shot. Kind of reminds me of the Sea Beast on Netflix. Feels really great. And then this nice little 2D effect. Chomp! That's what's so appealing about this style when it comes to Project L. Just the nice, vibrant colors. They're really playing around with 2D aspects, visual aspects, and 3D aspects too. And then we have like this nice tracking shot following the tentacles into the bottom part. And as Illaoi comes and then does this nice stomp. Nice big camera shake. She grabs the lantern. Probably would have been a little bit cooler if you added maybe like the handle on top of that showing the grab taking place. And then she does her little victory pose through here. Kind of cutting into her arm a little bit. I know it's hard to do that, especially with this giant ball that's happening as well too. But it's really cool to see that each one of these poses is carefully crafted in order to get this ball registering within the camera. But it's really cool to see, like, as the cameras it looks like there's like a small pan here and a small tilt on top of that too. But as she's coming close, we engulf the camera with this lantern too as it's swiping down, and then using this line in order to composite her face within this shot. Feels really great. It looks like there's more to this, but we just get like a nice little graphic art that covers her body. It is very unique in the way that she's designed, and the fact that she has this giant lantern that she has to hoist around in order to get her attacks. The really unique part of it is that she's summoning the ghost of this kraken, or this octopus with these giant tentacles, that really makes this character unique into having something that a player is using to summon a spirit that has its own entity. And you can have a lot of cool shapes and a lot of great supers with something like that too. So like, as far as uniqueness goes, this character is very unique. The animation is great, even though there's a lot of blending issues here and there. Some of the cameras and super moves I feel like can be kind of broadened up a little bit more. Actions didn't make sense because the victim was engulfed, but again, this is a trailer, everything's cut pretty short. I love how the character is moving the lantern from hand to hand. Taking an object and transferring it from hand to hand is really hard to do. Not only that, but making sure that the pose is correctly registering while implementing that constraint setup. Only critiques are, I'd really like to see a lot more clear posing in the tentacles. There's some instances where the one tentacle is very clean and the other one is very dirty, or some of it becomes very blocky and very hard edged too. And on top of the fact that these tentacles have smears on top of that too. And that's all great, maybe because they look the same and it's the same color. Don't really see quite the tentacles, more or less the effects on top of it, that I think you could really use the tentacles by themselves in order to complete the same effect that you're looking for. So other than that, I'm really excited to see more of this character, see more of her gameplay, see how see how players will be using this character in the future. I had fun critiquing this, but still, some of the animation still needs to be polished. Some of the blending still is a little jinky, and just the fact that some of the tentacles are not as clear as I'd like them to be kind of just sets my grade at an 8. I think this is a fun character. I know this is my animation. I know the animators are having a fun time doing this as well too. Her uniqueness gives her a high score, and also the fact that she has this unique lamp and she uses that weapon to kind of identify with her movements too really puts her at a high space for me too. So Project L, you guys are killing it. Keep doing it. Keep getting at it. I can't wait to see more future characters down the line and do some more animation breakdowns. So good stuff. So hey, if you guys like that animation breakdown, be sure to let me know down in the comments, and also subscribe if you haven't. I do animation breakdowns on fighting games, video game animation, and pretty much anything that catches my fancy. I love this kind of stuff, and subscribing will really help out my channel. So give it a like. What are your comments? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. My name is Brad Fasho, and I'll see you guys later.